Chapter 12 of the Saga of Ragnar Lothbrok. It happened that some men escaped and found King Eystein. They told him that a great host had come to his kingdom, so hostile that they had left nothing undamaged, that they had laid waste every place that they had passed through, and not a house was still standing. When King Eystein heard these tidings, he realised who these raiders must be. He had the war arrows sent through all his kingdom and summoned all his men who wanted to lend him their aid and who could bear shields. We shall have with us the cow Sibilja, our god, and let her charge ahead of the host. I expect that it will go as before, that they will not be able to withstand her bellowing. I will encourage all my men to help as best they can, and we shall drive away this great and evil host. It was done. Sibilja was let loose. Ivar saw her coming and heard the savage bellowing coming from her. He ordered all his men to make a great uproar, clashing their weapons and shouting battle cries, so that they could hear as little as possible of the voice of this evil creature which came against them. Ivar said to his bearers that they should carry him to the attack as far forward as they could. When that cow comes at us, throw me at her, and one of two things will happen. Either I shall lay down my life, or else she will get her death. Now you must take a large tree and carve it into a bow shape and arrows with it. Then he was brought the huge bow and the great arrows which he had ordered made, but no one thought that either would be useful as a weapon. Now Ivar encouraged every man to help as best he could. His forces advanced, making a great noise, and Ivar was carried in front of their ranks. There was such a great noise when Sibilja bellowed that they heard it just as clearly as if they were silent and standing still. It frightened them so much that all the men wanted to fight each other, except for the brothers. But when this terrible thing happened, Ivar's bearers saw that he drew his bow as if it was a flimsy elm twig. It seemed to them that he overdrew the arrows with the points behind the bow. Now they heard his bowstring twang so loudly that they had never heard it that way before. And they saw how his arrows flew as fast as if he had shot them from the strongest crossbow, and so straight that every arrow pierced Sibilja's eyes. She fell down and then tumbled head over heels, and her bellows became much worse than before. And when she came at them, he asked them to throw him at her, and he became as light to them as if they were throwing a little child, because they were not very close to the cow when they threw him. Then he landed on the back of the cow Sibilja, and he became as heavy as if a boulder had fallen on her. Every bone in her body was broken, and she died from this. Now he ordered men to pick him up as soon as possible. When he was lifted up, his voice became so piercing that it seemed to all the fighters that he spoke as if he was next to them, although he was standing far away. He gave his orders in complete silence, and he ended his speech in this way. The hostility, which was their reason for coming, would be over soon, and nothing could hurt them, because their forces had fought for only a short time. Now Ivar encouraged them to do their worst to their enemies, and now it seems that the most deadly one, that cow, is killed. Both of the forces had formed up in ranks, and they went into battle. The fight was so fierce that all the Swedes said that they had never been in such a trial. The brothers, Hvitserk and Bjorn, advanced so fiercely that none of the ranks could withstand them. Now so many of King Eystein's forces fell that few were left standing. Some turned and fled, and so the battle ended. King Eystein fell, and the brothers won the victory. They granted a truce to the survivors. Now Ivar said that he didn't want to harry any longer in that land, because that land was now leaderless, and I would rather that we set sail to where a greater force is facing us. But Randalin went home with some of the men.